Yesterday, when I was young, the taste of life was sweet as rain upon my tongue. I tasted life as if it were a foolish...
My name is Robert Gibbons. In collaboration with Thomas Colcino, the producer and videographer of this show, we are exploring art, literature, and culture. Today's book is entitled Dave the Potter, Artist, Poet, Slave by Laban Carrick Hill, illustrated by Brian Collier. To us, it is just dirt, the ground we walk on. Scoop up a handful, the gritty grains slip between your fingers. On wet days, heavy with rainwater, it is cool and squishy, mud pie heaven. But to Dave, it was clay, the plain and basic stuff upon which he learned to form a life as a slave nearly 200 years ago. To us, it is just a pot, round and tall, good for keeping marbles or fresh cut flowers. But to Dave, it was a pot large enough to store a season's grain harvest, to put up salted meat, to hold his memories. Each one began out of clouds of dust, clotted clumps of clay, ground in the pug mill and carried wheelbarrow after wheelbarrow to Dave's spinning potter's wheel. With a flat wooden paddle large enough to row across the Atlantic, Dave mixed clay with water drawn from Big Horse Creek until wet and stiff and heavy. He threw the clay, sometimes 60 pounds at once, and nobody knew how or where it would land except for Dave. Dave kicked his potter's wheel until it spun as fast as a carnival's wheel of fortune. Dave's hands, buried in the mounded mud, pulled out the shape of a jar. Like a magician pulling a rabbit out of a hat, his chafed thumbs pinched into the center, squeezed the inside against the fingers outside. As the wheel spun round and round, the walls of the jar rose up like a robin's puffed breast, but only so far before its immense weight threatened collapse. The jar grew so large, Dave could no longer wrap his strong arms around it. If he climbed into the jar and curled into a ball, he would have been embraced. Only then did he stop his potter's wheel and roll long ropes of clay between his dry, caked palms. Dave mounted these coils of clay one by one on the half-finished jar. He ran his wet fingers along the sides to smooth it all together, kicking the wheel with the heel of his foot. The shoulder and rim shrugged upwards as the jar took the shape Dave knew was there, even before he worked the raw mound of his will. While the clay dried, Dave pounded wood and ash and sand to mix a glass-like brown glaze to withstand time. But before the jar completely hardened, Dave picked up a stick and wrote to let us know that he was here. I wonder where is all my relation, friendship to all and every nation. Since you are young, Dave the Potter, Artist, Poet, and Slave, written by Laban Carrick Hill, illustrated by Brian Collier. Thank you.